Hi, this group consists of the following students: Anton Loveday, Oliver Baker, and Seteleasi. Our tutor is Anna Chambers, and our tutorial is on Tuesdays at 9:30 a.m. For this assignment, the two ASEAN countries we will be analysing are Indonesia and the Philippines. This video will serve as a conclusion of the analysis of the two countries' institutional environments compared to New Zealand that was explored in the previous two assignments. The purpose of this video is to describe how a New Zealand firm can attract and retain highly skilled migrant workers from Indonesia and the Philippines while making sure they feel comfortable and well settled in New Zealand. We will be developing a strategy for relocating the 8 highly skilled designers or programmers with at least 5 years of industry experience from Indonesia and the Philippines into a medium-sized firm in Wellington in the entertainment industry. In this context, we will also outline 5 specific activities with relevant milestones, several KPIs, projected costs, and other required resources. Following this, we will prepare a comprehensive system for managing and monitoring the well-being of the new overseas recruits for the first 24 months of the relocation, followed by the discussing of the key risks and challenges stemming from our implemented strategy.
In order to attract 8 highly talented individuals from Indonesia and the Philippines, a multi-dimensional strategy is recommended for this medium-sized firm from Wellington. The first step would be to create a global employment profile/presence in Indonesia and the Philippines. This is very important as competition for talent is intense in the entertainment industry, and it is important to establish a reputable base where they can connect across cultures, across languages and religions. This will involve renting a small office for each of the two countries for a month. One HR staff member will be sent to each office and will create a recruitment campaign to create connections with the right people at a cost of $5,000 per country overall. The KPI here would be the number of responses to open positions and would have an aim for over 100 applicants in each country. The second stage of the strategy would be to sort through potential applicants with a series of tests. These tests would be both academic and emotional in order to understand whether the potential employees would be sufficient for the job, as well as whether they would be sufficient in moving across from Indonesia or the Philippines to New Zealand. This would cost about $500 per country, and the KPI here would be to find 8 sufficient applicants which can fill the spots for the Wellington firm. The third part of the strategy would be the actual relocation. So this would involve obtaining visas, sorting out travel costs, shipping, and making sure that they have a house to arrive at or to live in when they arrive. The estimated cost for this would be $10,000 per person. However, the cost is likely to increase over time as houses may have to be rented for a longer period of time. The KPI here would be that all employees are sufficiently relocated within a month and all have proper housing, which as well as being helped to set up bank accounts and other small things like that. The fourth part of the strategy would be a benefit program. So not only do each employee need to receive a comprehensive salary, it's also important that they receive things like a company car or sufficient use of public transport or any other equipment they may need, as the special effects industry is a highly technical industry, so they need to have a proper benefit program that goes past just money. The other thing that might be included here would be an insurance plan. This would cost about $10,000 per person, but the KPI would be that all employees are able to turn up to work from day one and there would be no complaints from the employees or their families. The fifth and final part of the strategy would be long-term sustainability. So this is engagement in social activities in the New Zealand society. This is to make sure that the family is properly settling and as they're involved in well-being activities as well as the work life to make sure that they are comfortable in New Zealand society. New Zealand has a more relaxed lifestyle and charismatic leadership compared to Indonesia or the Philippines. However, employees still need to go to special events, so this will cost around $1,000 per person per annum. A KPI would be happy employees, which would show through revenues which will increase by 300 million as expected.
Statistics show that expats have a high level of failure, being anywhere from 20 to 80%. In this situation, to ensure that there's no failure with the integration of these overseas employees, a comprehensive and effective well-being framework must be set up. The overall goal of this is to promote, monitor and help these 8 expats with their well-being upon settling in New Zealand. The framework will cover the first 24 months after moving. The first 12 months will cover the different well-being dimensions to the second half of the program. The decision to split the program into distinct halves come from the fact that different areas of well-being need attention immediately, while other dimensions are more long-term. The first 12 months will focus on the expats' financial, physical and social well-being. The financial aspect ensures that the expats have no financial stress. Thus, systems such as the ones mentioned earlier must be set in place so that the expats are not forced back home due to lack of financial help. The cost of living in New Zealand is much higher than Indonesia or the Philippines, thus it is vital to cover. A KPI for this dimension could be to make sure that the expats are financially independent by the end of the 12 months. The physical aspect ensures that immigrants are keeping in a healthy condition. Settling overseas can wear people down, causing lack of sleep, loss in focus and mental deterioration. Thus, it is important to set up systems such as a subsidised gym membership, access to sports teams or office fitness groups, and make them accessible for immigrants. The social aspect is vital to ensure that the expat immediately feels a sense of belonging in New Zealand and in the workplace, ensuring that the staff are welcoming, cultural differences are squashed, and any other barriers are overcome. A KPI for this dimension could be all 8 expats involved in a co-curricular activity run by the business, such as a sport team or after-workplace events. Looking at the second half of the 24-month program, the focus will switch to more long-term orientated dimensions. The spiritual and emotional dimensions ensure that relationships and bonds are made between the expats and the locals. This means helping the expats find deeper relationships than just co-worker friends. It will give the expats a sense of belonging in New Zealand and deter them from moving back home. Creating an environment in which expats can form close bonds with co-workers and other people outside of work will mean a shift from an individual approach to a more collectivist approach, something that the expats from these countries may be more used to. Furthermore, the intellectual and occupational dimension will deal with short-term and long-term rewards and how to recognise key skills. The main fact to note here is the difference between the long-term orientated Asian countries compared to the short-term orientated New Zealand. Making sure long-term rewards are given with KPIs, ensuring that these long-term goals are met by the end of the 24 months and completed with satisfaction are key to ensure that the expats feel just appreciated and their work is justified.
While the implemented strategy serves to attract the 8 skilled individuals from Indonesia and the Philippines, it is crucial to take notice of the risks and challenges that stem from this. The first risk regarding the development of a global employment profile for Indonesian and Filipino expats is ensuring that they feel safe and comfortable, hoping that New Zealand will be their home away from home. However, a problem that New Zealand still faces, not only in the education system but in the work environment, is the hidden act of institutional racism. This can pose a risk of current expats from working further into the future in New Zealand, as there is a possibility of racial imbalance in the workplace. In terms of attracting potential applicants, it is recommended that New Zealand check the expats' emotional, mental, physical and academic capabilities. Adoption in the workspace can require different skills, and the scenario of stresses among expats seem complex. This is evident in the context of individualism, where New Zealand is an individualist society, meaning that everyone is expected to look after themselves, as opposed to Indonesia and the Philippines, where they are collectivist societies. The risk being that the expats will face numerous challenges, such as working in more complex conditions that can lead to psychological and physical strains. This can affect their health, given that anxiety to keep up with the work culture can decrease their mental and emotional well-being. The third risk of relocation can also affect the lifestyle of current and potential expats. While New Zealand is the place to go for a relaxed lifestyle, it can also have low quality housing issues. New Zealand has a very relaxed attitude towards housing standards, allowing many older houses to be poorly insulated amongst other faults. In comparison to Indonesia and the Philippines, the public transport is also very limited. In the entertainment industry, it is possible that the expats will have to travel from city to city in New Zealand. However, there is no nationwide rail network, unlike Indonesia and the Philippines. It is therefore more suitable if the expats acquire a vehicle due to the limited options of public transport. In terms of sustainability goals, the entertainment industry see an opportunity to drive their sustainability goals, but there are also challenges as they are an everyday business reality. This is driven by the combination of climate, environmental, and political instability as they demand a new approach that will prioritize resource and environmental governance. The New Zealand entertainment industry know that it is impossible to meet the world's growing demand for products and services through an increase in production and consumption, therefore being a risk for the highly skilled expats from Indonesia and the Philippines as they could be exploited. The most overlooked risk in this case is the immigration process. There are different forms and other requirements needed for when an expat is applying to live in New Zealand. The processing times for a skilled migrant residency can take up to 13 months, excluding time to fill forms and providing other evidence. The complexity of applying can also put off expats from moving to New Zealand. The challenge is also evident in Indonesian and Filipino resources that the expat may want to bring to New Zealand, but may not pass the biosecurity laws. The process may even take up to several years. Therefore, it is better for the expats to plan far ahead of time.